I want to talk about a yogic habit which can totally change your life. So the trick is this: learning to look at life, look at people, look at situations or places or just whatever, or even when you close your eyes and look inward. Look at everything not as being static, but instead as being dynamic. If you look around the world and you see a sofa, you think a sofa needs to be the way that a sofa is, the way it is in your head. But then you go to another country and their sofas are a little different. That is a difference. It doesn't have to be one way. Or maybe a person. You see somebody, maybe a child when they're 6, you wait a few years, now they're 12. The way they were when they were 6, if you're that way with them when they're 12, they're going to be like, stop it, you're treating me like a kid. Because that's not what they are right now. In this moment, they've matured, they've grown, they've become more than what they were when they were 6. And it just keeps going on. And the same is true with you. Let's say you are worried that I did something wrong and bad long ago. I hurt somebody, I made a mistake. But that doesn't mean that that's what you are right this moment. As it's only this moment that's in existence. You can learn from the past, but that is not you, that's just that moment. So you're not fixed as that. Similarly, a place. Like when I first went to Bali, people told me, oh, Bali was so great 10 years ago. Now, not so much, right? So they're making comparisons. They're thinking Bali means the way it was. But in reality, Bali is Bali. It's a rock sticking out in the middle of the ocean. And that's what it is. Everything else is in your head. It's psychological. So if you see the island the way it is in this moment, that's what Bali is. Something else is your story, your imagination, your psychological memory or impression of what you saw or what you experienced or what you saw in some, what's that movie, Eat, Pray, Love? Maybe that's your impression of Bali, but that's not what it is in this moment. And you only know when you're there experiencing it in this moment. So the yogic habit is to learn to see things clearly, just the way they are, and then respond to that. Because whenever we make fixed ideas about what things are, we're not able to adapt, because it's like you met somebody 10 years ago and you got to know them, like maybe for, you spent a few weeks with them. And then in your mind, that's what they are. But then 10 years later, you meet up with them. If you think in the way that you remember them is what they are, that's who they are, that's what's going on right now, you may be very surprised when you meet them and they're totally different because they've had all these new experiences and things that have changed their perception of life and how they look at the world and how they interact with you. It could be totally different. It could be a whole new person. It doesn't even have to be 10 years. It could be tomorrow, because depending on what they experience, that will change everything. And the same is true with anything else, right? What you think, water is, right? Your understanding of something as simple as water could change drastically based on what comes tomorrow. So if you only have a fixed idea, you're now living in an illusion that's not real. So you want to see how to observe the flow, the ebb and flow, the changing dynamic process that is life. So to give it a sort of a metaphor of what that could look like, just think of the waves in the ocean. If you just took a picture of the ocean, you would see some waves and you would think, okay, waves come up on the ocean. But suppose you'd never been to the ocean, you might not know that there are tides. So the waves are coming in, sure, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. But over time, they're not only coming in whoosh, whoosh, but the whole level of the sea is rising. And then over time, it's slowly going out as well. The whole time, whoosh, 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 whoosh. But the overall average height of the water level is rising and it's going out. That's the ebb and flow of things. And you just have to sit and pay attention to see the waves coming and going enough to recognize this pattern. It's just about paying attention long enough to understand it. And even with the waves, the whoosh whoosh, right? So suppose you're a surfer, you observe the waves, you might notice, oh, they come in sets. Well, if you want to ride that wave, then you have to see, first of all, can I swim? Second of all, do I have an adequate thing? Because you can body surf, okay, cool. But you still have to be able to surf. You still have to know how to pick the right wave to ride. You have to be at the right point on the beach where the waves break the right way. And that all comes from paying attention, from seeing just how the water is today. And this translates in many ways to so many other aspects of life, whether it's the coming changes with artificial intelligence or the tension that we feel around the world. Like right now in this moment, this moment, there are protests happening in Paris, and there are, I think in Israel, there's other turmoil going on, and who knows what else in all other parts of the world. And only the people that are there know what's going on. But if you pay attention, you can see these things, and then you see how to respond to it. How do I want to ride this wave? Maybe I want to make some commentary because I'm a commentator, or somebody who likes to listen to other people's opinions and then share that. This is like the gossip chain. Maybe it's important that other people know certain information, so you can help do whatever you want to do based on that. That may be a decision you make based on the information. That could be a choice of how you want to ride that wave. Or maybe you choose, I don't want to do anything. These are just choices you have. But the main thing is, you have to be aware that if you think Paris means Eiffel Tower and baguettes and cheese or whatever that you think of Paris, and those little hats to the side, little barrettes, if that's all you think Paris is, that's a fixed idea. But when you go there, you'll see in this moment, there are protests. In another moment, there may be a festival. In another moment, there may be something else. It's a dynamic flow, and you just have to pay attention and see what to do about that. Because that could be the difference between a very great vacation or a terrifying experience. It just depends on the situation, so you just have to pay attention. And that is the yogic habit that will just change your life, is to stop thinking of anything as fixed. Because as we go on into the future, things are going to become more and more ever faster changing and evolving. And the more you try and fix and lock down things in your mind, the less capable you're going to be to handle those changing situations. But the more you choose to just observe the patterns and see how to ride the wave as best you can, understanding that in this moment, it could be different than the last moment. And whatever you thought something was doesn't mean it will always be that way. When you embrace this and learn to ride the wave, then you can have fun. Otherwise, you'll be living in panic all the time because nothing's the way you thought it was. Every time you go into a situation, you'll be thrown off balance, off guard, because things are different than what I thought they were. And that's not fun. So learn to ride the wave. That's tip of the day.